just kind of wanted to wrap up this video about the blind man that Jesus healed in John chapter 9. And um, you know, one of the last things I talked about in the last video was, God is not offended by what you think about what he does. I think about, the potter and the clay that Paul mentioned. Can the clay say to the potter basically anything? I mean, is it all right, for the clay to complain or gripe or grumble or say anything? And he says that, I mean, he used Pharaoh, for his glory. Uh, Nebuchadnezzar was a servant of the Most High. He was used to bring judgment, punishment, so on and so forth. And so God is not worried about what you think about what he does. He is in control of everything. I mean, there's just so many scriptures about that. I don't know. I can't quote them to you, but there's a couple in Psalms, and I'm just not prepared as some of you are, and I'm sorry about that, but it says he's in total control of everything that goes on in heaven and on earth. He is in control. And one thing we can learn from reading the scriptures is this: we're not. We're not in control. He is. He determines everything. He sets it all up. It's a big setup. Your life was predetermined before the foundation of the world. This blind man was blind from, when he was in his mother's womb, and was brought to that moment. He lived his whole life blind and brought to that moment for the glory of God to be shown. Some people can't handle that. What about Job? He went through what he went through for a reason. Foreordained, foreplanned, way before it was in the mind of God. The whole thing that happened to Job. He was not surprised that Satan was going to do what he did with Job. As a matter of fact, he gave him permission. Okay, have you tried my servant Job? And some people got this idea about progressive revelation. I studied that. I know what people think about progressive revelation. What that means is that people in those days did not know as much as we know. Basically, revelation is given to, it was at a level with, say, Moses, and then on down the line with the prophets, they had more revelation about who God was or anything about God. On down the line, then Jesus revealed that there was more. And then on down the line, you got the boys. I'm talking about the 12 disciples or the 11. We know what happened with Judas. But they knew more than, say, even, I've heard this now. There are some that say that Paul knew more than Jesus. You believe that? And then that feller that said that, he said that he knew more than Paul. So you see how stupid false teaching can get passed down? But it's simply the truth that Job, that Job, everything that happened to him was for the glory of God, for instruction in righteousness for us. That's what the Word of God is for. But anyway, I want to get into the discourse between the Pharisees and Jesus and the parents and so on. So I've written a few things down to help me keep up with this. Um, but the neighbors of this blind man, you know, they came to him after he had washed and he come back. He was healed and washed the clay out of his eyes, and they asked him. They said, "How were your eyes opened?" And the blind man recites the story. Hey, a man called Jesus told me to go wash. He put the clay in my eyes. I went and washed. I come back healed. And they asked him. They said, "Well, where is he?" And he's like, "Man, I've been blind my whole life. I don't even know where is." So he said, "I don't know." And the neighbors took him to the Pharisees. Now, that's interesting. I don't know why he would be taken to the Pharisees, but they took him to the Pharisees. I guess you know, they supposed to know something, right? They're the teachers of the word, and they got their stuff together. They know something. We know what they know: false teaching. They travel the earth to make someone a disciple of them and make them twice as much the son of hell as they are. They're the ones that pass this down the line about how, you know, that somebody would sin and it would pass down to their children. And we know that Jesus dispelled that. Neither this man nor his parents sinned that he would be born blind. It was for the glory of God. I know if you don't like that, just suck it up. You'll be all right. You'll be all right. You know, sometimes we got to get over ourselves and what we think we know and just realize that he knows more than us. But anyway, they took him to the Pharisees to test this thing out, and the Pharisees asked him, "Well, how did this happen?" And he recites it again, the story. And the Pharisee says, "Well, this man can't be from God. There's no way. He's a sinner. He breaks the Sabbath." And we learned from earlier in John that he said, "My Father works and I work." Now that was on the Sabbath day, so that must be something that maybe we don't understand. That he kept maybe one Sabbath, and that was at the end of the creation, and then from then on he's working. But he breaks their Sabbath that they had set up and put all these rules and regulations on everybody that really don't go along with the Word of God. Made the Sabbath a drudgery. And there's people that do that today. They make the Sabbath a misery. But I just can't seem to get into the story, but I'm running out of time. But remember the widows, the orphans, and the poor. Give to them and look for them. Search them out. Hunt for them. I guarantee you the Father will bring them across your path if you start giving to them. And they're the people that need your finances that you can help. So, love you. Take everything I say with a grain of salt.